Good morning, it's Pastor Aaron from Edgemont Church in Bristol, Tennessee. Do you ever ask, is God just not listening? Does he care about me? Has he forgotten? Is God just not strong enough to take me through my trials? Do you ever ask those kinds of questions? Sometimes we all do, especially when we're going through a very difficult time. We're going to look today at a passage from the prophet Isaiah. And Isaiah wrote these words for people who would be asking questions just like that. He knew that the people of Israel were going to be going into exile, that they were going to be taken away from their country and forced to live as slaves in a foreign land. And he knew that a lot of them would be asking these questions. Has God forgotten? Is he not strong enough? What's the problem? So let's read what Isaiah has to say for us this morning. Again, from Isaiah chapter 40, and we're going to be starting at verses 25 and going all the way through the end. So here's what he says. To whom, then, will you compare me, that I should be like him, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high and see. Who created these? He who brings out their host by number, calling them all by name, by the greatness of his might. And because he is strong in power, not one is missing. So the image that he's asking us to put in our minds is, you look up at the sky. Have you ever been outside at night on a really, really starry night, on a cloudless night, when you're away from the lights of a city and you just see hosts of stars? That's what he's talking about. Now we know that the universe is so much bigger even than Isaiah would have known. Imagine how large the universe is. Imagine how many millions, billions of stars there are. And this passage invites us to look at them and say, wow, God created and sustains these. Imagine the power behind that. That is the God who is the God of creation. That is the God who listens to us. And so we're being invited here to realize there's nothing bigger than God in whom we can trust. God is almighty. His power is beyond what we can imagine, in fact. I mean, it's easy to say he's almighty, but our finite brains can't really understand just what almighty means. But when we begin to look at the cosmos, how big the universe really is, and we realize that he created all these things, surely by the power of his word, he said, let there be, and there was. That he's awesome in power. He's literally awesome in power. And so he's saying, who are you going to compare me to? That's what God says when it comes to power. There isn't anyone else who's bigger than your trials the way that God is. Let's keep going then, starting at verse 27. Why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my right is disregarded by my God? Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary, and his understanding is unsearchable. So his answer to our question, have you forgotten me, is no, he's not forgotten. In fact, the very fact of his almighty power, the fact that he's created the cosmos, is for us a demonstration that his understanding is just as infinite as his power is. And so, yes, even though you are one of, 5 billion people who live on the earth now, more than that probably, yet he knows you, and he knows you by name. And he has not forgotten you, nor has he forgotten his promises to you. Notice here in today's passage, he uses the names Jacob, Israel, because he wants his people to know that he knows them personally. These are the names for his people collectively as a whole. And if you are someone who has taken refuge in the Lord God because of Jesus Christ, you can know God has not forgotten your right. You may be going through a difficult time, but it doesn't mean that God can't handle your problem, and it doesn't mean that he has forgotten you. And those are important things for us to remember. God doesn't forget his people. Let's go on and read the end of this chapter then. Here's what it says. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And so here is for us part of the answer that we're really looking for. We don't always have to know all the answers to the questions for what's tomorrow, what's going to happen around the corner. What we do need is strength for today, strength to get through what we're going through. And God promises for us that very thing. He says, if we will wait on him. And notice that he points out, what we already observe as a natural facet of living in this side of, on this side of glory, that physical strength, and what we associate with physical strength. He talks about young men and youths, people in the prime of their strength. He said even they grow weary and they fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. And so what he's calling for us to do when he says to wait on him is to look for him to give us hope and encouragement, that he'll give us the power to do what he calls us to do, the next right thing. That's what we're supposed to do in the meantime, is to wait on him and trust in him. And Christian, keep in mind, the God who loved you enough that though he saw your many sins, sent his son for you, to die for you, to stand in your place. He's not forgotten you. He loves you. And if you'll quiet your heart and trust in the God whom you can't see with your eyes, he will renew your strength. Lord bless you all. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.